Hi, guys. It's John here. It is Thursday, October 21st, 2021. I have been busy and I haven't had a lot of opportunities to record lately, regrettably, because there's been a ton of stuff coming up. I will get to it, and soon, I hope. I had a small window of opportunity here now today to record something, and something came up for me yesterday, and it's pretty incredible how things come up. And I'm looking forward to being in a space where I can drop what I'm doing and record things when they come up, because there's a lot more energy there when they're really fresh. And it happens to me so often. I can't wait to be in that space, so I can communicate what's coming through me and coming up for me. I've also the energy for the past while has just been kind of like all crazy all over the place. I have I went through a period there about a week ago where I was waking up at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning and not being able to get back to sleep. And so I'm kind of sleep deprived. So I'm questioning whether this is a good time for me to be recording at all right now. But it's been a while and I'm getting a bit frustrated not having been able to put anything out there. So, today I want to talk about, thank you. I'm getting good energy right now. Thank you. Today I want to talk about something that came up for me again yesterday. And it's something that has come up for me, geez, over a couple years, really. It just keeps coming up, and then I contemplate it and I question it and then I wonder about it. And it's time for me to share that. And this is kind of the theme of uh, truth being held hostage. So now let me give you an example situation. Say there's somebody who's channeling higher knowledge or higher spiritual wisdom, and but they don't make it readily available to everybody. There'll be a paywall or subscription, or sometimes it can be very expensive to gain access to this spiritual wisdom and knowledge. This has always not sat very well with me. I don't, because there's a lot of people who don't have credit cards, or they live in other parts of the world where they're on subsistence incomes and so forth. And so I always have this question in myself: how can this kind of knowledge or wisdom be only available to people who are privileged? It just it just bothers me. It makes me sad, and it kind of makes me a little bit angry as well. Now, I know that people need to make a living. Obviously, we all do. Um, but there's certain forms of spiritual knowledge and wisdom that, in my view, should be made available to all. God does not discriminate against anyone. We're all equal. And so, you know, let me go into this in a bit more detail. In the past, we used to gain knowledge and wisdom through mostly through books. And, I remember many years ago when I was in the earlier stages of my study of astrology, I would scour used bookstores and things like that. And I was lucky. There was one place I found where it was a gold mine. I got some just amazing. I would walk out of there sometimes with like 8 or 10 books that were like 5, 6, 7 bucks each or something like that. And I didn't need to buy them all, but my point is that if you didn't have a lot of income, you could get access to that kind of knowledge and information. Well, nowadays, everything is digital and everything is online for the most part. I mean, you can still buy books, but a lot of the spiritual knowledge and wisdom that's coming out these days is very timely and very time sensitive. And it's only available online for the most part, as far as I'm aware. And then, now let's go into that a little more in a little bit more detail. If I wanted a personal astrology reading from some astrologer who's spent, decades studying astrology, of course, I'm going to, you know, if they're not a friend, I'm going to expect to pay for that. And so I should, because that's something that's very personal to me. And that person's taking their time and that's how they make a living. And that's a different situation than what I'm describing. I'm describing more things like channeled stuff that's coming through about what's going on with humanity and where we're at right now, and this transition that we're going through collectively. Um, and I'm getting nice chills here now. This, and when that isn't made available to people, or it, I can see scenarios where, you might want to make some of it available publicly and other aspects of it available privately or whatever. But the point is that if the knowledge and wisdom and information that's coming through would benefit humanity, well, humanity is all of us, period, right? So I have that issue about taking divine spiritual knowledge and wisdom. God does not discriminate, and and then people discriminating about who can access this sort of information, or or it should be made available at a very reasonable rate, I think. Now, that's my own opinion. That's how I feel. I've sat with this question for months, years, actually, and I cannot get away from my own position on this, which I've been describing. That's where I stand, especially if this knowledge and wisdom, like I said, would be helpful to humanity. Now, there's another aspect of this that I don't quite understand. A lot of these people are channeling through guides or other higher level beings, and I wonder what is going on there where these higher level beings are providing this individual in, I'm not going to name names, but these higher level beings are providing certain individuals with access to this information, and these higher level beings must know as well that a lot of this information is not going to be made widely available. So then the question is, well, why are they doing that? Why would they collaborate with somebody who is going to hold truth hostage? I don't really understand that either. I don't understand their rationale. I'm not on that dimension. There obviously are reasons for it, but there are some psychics and channels out there who you have to pay a fairly significant amount of money to access their information, and that I do not understand. Because, like I said, there are billions of people on this planet who are living on a subsistence level. They can barely feed themselves. Would they not benefit would from certain access to spiritual knowledge and wisdom? I think there's kind of like in the old paradigm where people separated themselves from society to do spiritual work. There was the price of entry there was that you dedicated your life to that path, and perhaps you became an ascetic, or they might have gone into hermitage or an ashram or a monastery. That might have been the price of admission for gaining access to spiritual knowledge and experiences in the past. But again, that's to me, that's old paradigm. Aquarian age is like everybody. The Aquarian energy is doesn't discriminate based on your income or your looks or where you live. So there's a contradiction here. And again, I have no problem with people making a living there. And there are two different business models. You can go like, you can put a high price tag on something and make it only available to a few, or you can put a low price tag on something and make it available to the many. And at least in this, for the purposes of this discussion, the latter scenario would be more beneficial for the greater good. So I'm titling this Truth Held Hostage because, like I said, this issue has been coming up for me for a very long time. And, because I know this is a sensitive topic, I have been holding back from expressing anything on it. But my reaction to this scenario or situation is pretty constant. And when it came up again yesterday, I said, well, maybe it's time for me to express this and put this out there and see what other people think. We have to let go of this materialistic paradigm because it's literally destroying our planet, and it's many people are suffering as a result of it. And like I said, God does not, or the creator of all things, the source, does not discriminate one iota with love. And that's where we're going. Um, and so, this whole notion of disparity and power and privilege versus those who don't have power and don't have privilege, that is the old age. That is what has to go. We have to let that go. It's an illusion, and it's a destructive illusion. and it harms people. And we are only as good as the weakest member of society, and we have to lift up all boats to get where we want to go. That is the Aquarian age. And this is what we constantly have to be remembering or thinking about. That we're transitioning from that old age where, that I just described, into a completely new one. And in the new one, there will be justice for all and fairness for all. Okay, I just listened to what I've recorded before I, put this out there, and I want to be. I need to clarify something. I'm not talking about like monthly astrology readings and things like that. I'm not talking about information that isn't mission critical for humanity. I'm talking about the higher level stuff that has to do with Earth transcending and humanity transcending. The big important stuff, and we all know what that is when we hear it. It's not the it's not the things that we can do without. It's the stuff that we need to know as a collective and as individuals. Um, yeah. So because as I was contemplating this and listening to what I recorded so far, I had this image of a whole bunch of astrologers and people freaking out if they listen to this. Not many people do, but um, but yet, but so I want to be clear about that. I don't consider monthly astrology readings, things like that, to be for different signs and things like that. I don't consider that to be mission critical or essential. It's the higher level stuff, and I hope that the listeners understand what I'm referring to and differentiate between what's essential and what isn't as far as humanity is concerned there. And I hope that people actually listened all the way to the end of this to catch this little proviso that I'm tacking on here. So I put that out there for your consideration. I'm hopefully we'll have some time over the next week to, I think I should actually, to do some more recordings, because there's a lot of stuff that's been coming up for me. And these energies lately have been really crazy and intense, and I'm sure you're experiencing that too. And all my love and blessings to you. Thanks to everybody for your likes, follows, subscribes, comments. Um, I've had some beautiful comments lately, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I will hopefully talk to you soon.